fly our first fidget spinners.
Heard it here first, folks. We got our first fidget spinners right here. All thanks to AMD. Thank you so much, AMD. We love you. Shh. They don't know you grabbed two. All right, so now I'm gonna read.
Grab a second one.
Look. All right, we got a fidget spinner here, $5.
Stop it! Stop it! They're free.
What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Resin Ralph, and today we are here to showcase our first ever episode of Playback. This is where we talk about our time at PAX, and we show you a little bit about what happened behind the scenes as far as our story goes and what happened along our way. Anything you'd like to add on to that, Rez?
I love these stress balls that they gave us.
Yeah, the stress cubes that they gave us. They ended up giving you, like, what?
I got
like
two. They tried to give me more. They tried to give me one for every game I played at the 1C booth.
Yeah, and they even tried to give you an extra draw bag.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to talk about all the free stuff. Well, actually, no, yeah, we'll...
All the free stuff. Yeah. Like...
Okay, so at the entrance of PAX, like once you first get in, you pass a will call, which is where you could pick up your tickets if you didn't get them ordered to your house, or you could start walking.
Oh, that's not even where we started. That's not where we started. No. This is how it went. This is how it all started. Was we walked in, I showed him the view, and then we went downstairs because we were about to go into the expo hall. I pointed at a table that had a bunch of free stuff on it, from maps of the place to a little PAX booklet to the lanyards. And I say, there's some free stuff over there if you want, something. He's like, want it? If it's free, I'm taking it. So we walk over there. He grabs a couple lanyards. I'm like, you only need one. He's like, He goes to the little mini maps. He grabs one. He says, one for me. Takes another one for my mom. Another one just
I always have to have a backup plan.
Why do you need so many?
And souvenirs. Souvenirs, man.
Souvenir on the map. You go a place you're only gonna go to once a year.
Hey, I'm walking here.
Yeah, okay. And then after that, we walked in, and he went to every single booth that we went to, and he looked for free stuff.
Yeah, well, okay.
The only thing he didn't want was pins. If it wasn't a pin, he would take it. He has 2 fidget spinners to prove that.
First and foremost, who in the hell wants a pin? Nobody wants a pin. What are they gonna do with a pin? Someone please explain to me what someone will do with a pin from a game that no one knows.
Stab your eyes out for being so stupid.
That is not the right answer. Okay? I love lanyards because, you know what? It could be useful for keychains or anything of the sorts. You don't want to lose a key, do you? No. Oh, you want to put your PAX Pass on there? Ah, there you go. You have a use for it. You want to put your PAX Pass on a fucking badge? No, I don't think so.
Okay. I think this stress cube's gonna see some use during this recording.
Let's get into our first game here. So, the Great Gaius. It was fun. It was very interesting. It played very similar. Oh, at least for me, I found it played very similar to South Park: The Stick of Truth. I need to finish, but other than that, it had the same fighting mechanics. So it was still that turn-based fighting arcade style 2D scroller. It was fun. At first, as Rizola tweeted out, you did see I was getting triggered, but that's just because they beefed the bosses so much, even for a tutorial, which I didn't understand. I didn't go hard at all. I went easy and medium, both of which took forever. But I did end up beating it. I did not die. I was good. I'm great. Ralph is good.
And Great Guys was at the Horizon's End booth, by the way. That's the name of the company. And what the game actually is it's more based off of old Final Fantasy games, which is how the combat works. One big difference that you wouldn't really be used to is that once you choose to do an action, there is a charge period usually before the attack actually happens. So you can't just attack, watch the attack, done. Next person, attack, watch the attack, done. Next person. No, it's attack. then most likely next person attack, and then the previous person's attack goes, depending on how big of an attack it was. The more powerful the attack or the more crazy it is, the longer it might take. For example, there was that one attack where you jumped off the screen and you came down like a full group's turn later and smashed onto the guy. And you were just wondering the whole time, where the hell is my guy at?
My guy just jumped up, and then 5 turns has passed, and he still didn't come down. So we were wondering where the hell he went.
And finally, he smashed down on the guy's head.
But in the end, he ended up just dropping down on someone and just completely splattering them. But yeah, it was fun. See, it had its moments, that's for sure.
The developer was talking a lot about his plans for the game, about how this was actually based off of an old D&D campaign that he did a long time ago, and he's been working on the story for about 11 years, working on the base of the game for about 7, has some basic scenarios running now, and from here on out is mostly working on actually getting the content into the game. He has an idea of he wants to have 60 plus hours of a story. He told everyone 65. He said he's aiming for about 100 to 120, but he didn't want to scare people off that were visiting the booth. And I understand why, but that would have impressed me, not scared me off. So I'm glad he told me that. And one thing that you also wouldn't expect from a game like this is that you can make your own city in it even. This has a lot of different aspects from a lot of different games that you wouldn't expect. But so, for example, to make a city, what you had to do was you would go around the world while you're questing and doing whatever, side quests, main quests, just exploring. And you would find people in the world and you would save them or help them or just talk to them or whatever. You would have an opportunity to recruit them to your city. You add people to your city and then they build it up for you. What type of city is and what is in it depends on what kind of character you play. So, for example, if you play more of a merchant background type character, you're going to have a merchant city when you build all these people up, which will have goods that other cities won't have. If you play more of a military background, you're going to have a military type city, which is very secure, locked down. It's not in very much trouble. You'll see soldiers everywhere, and it will have a lot of more armor and weapons than anything else. It also has other game mechanics from things you expect from other games. Like, for example, there's this one Indiana Jones scenes that Ralph was amazing at, where you had to run through this basically labyrinth of rocks almost while running away from a giant boulder.
So
and Ralph
basically
kept dying. Yeah. And it's got a bunch of those little things. It has a bunch of these little things that makes it stand out and combines other games into one. It's not exactly another Final Fantasy game. It's that plus a bunch of other genres, and I found it very interesting and worth mentioning.
To talk a little bit more about the Indiana Jones situation, at first it was difficult, I won't lie, but that's because I had no idea what was happening. I just kind of was basing it off of just trying to move around at first, but then the boulder dropped and it crushed me instantly the first time. The second time I tried to get away, but it's one of those games where if you don't hit S at the exact right time to go down, you will just skim past the exit and be trapped. So I did mess up a bit there at the beginning, but the third time I was close, right, Rez? Come on, back me up on this.
We never saw the exit. I'll put it that way. Towards that second part, though, the reason that you have to press it at the right time is because the way movement works in games like this is it's tile based. So if you press the thing once, you're going to move to the next tile, and once you press it, once it registers that you press it, you're locked into the animation of moving to the next tile. So if you hold something too long, you're going to go past it. You're going to go past your intended tile. It just takes time learning how to play games like that, but it's been very, very, very common for JRPGs and other things like that, all throughout time based like this. Anything that uses, what's that, RPG Maker on Steam even. My final thoughts on it are that it looks fun. It looks promising. The developer promised a rich story, very long, a lot of playable, a lot of things to keep you playing. And there aren't many other games on the market with this amount of ambition coming out that play quite like this. So I think it looks very good and is worth checking out for sure. Will it be really fun when it comes out? I don't know, but it looks like it can be.
So we did come across another kiosk that looked interesting. At first, it was this regular Joe. You know, he was wearing the American flag on many articles of clothing. He had an American flag covering a sword that he was wearing. He had a backpack with the American flag on it. He had a shirt with the American flag. He had a bandana of the American flag on. He was Mr. America, and he was on this VR set taking some orders as a cashier at a grocery store. And so he was talking to some people, having fun. We have a little bit of a recording of him going on, which I'll show right now.
Are you ready for Elmo's World? I don't think you're ready for Elmo's World.
And then after watching that, I decided, hey, why not? This is it's the end of PAX. You know, it's Sunday. It's probably 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. It was getting towards the end, and I still have yet to try a VR set. I still at that time not even VR chat, nothing. I'd never tried it, and I decided why not? Of all times, let's do it now. So here's a video of how that ended up turning out, on how I took some orders as a cashier.
Oh, God, that was close.
See that one? He said Canada sucks. Get him.
Oh, you did not. Canada's great. Canada's great. You hear me? Oh, no. Except for Quebec. Quebec sucks. There's so many. Oh, God.
No.
I hate mustard. Oh, they're together! Come here. What is that, fish? Is that fish?
Oh.
Oh, there's one right there. No. What's up? Do I get to type in my name?
Yeah.
Follow me at Konglomerat on YouTube.
I'll kick you.
What's the next game we should talk about? You want to talk about Legends of Aria?
Okay, so Legends of Aria is comparable to Ultima Online, not just because of the way the game is designed, but because the lead designer and main creator of Legends of Aria was the lead designer for Ultima Online.
Yeah, and we'll just talk a little bit about our experience entering the booth. So just picture this, okay? Rozola and I, we walk up, we see that the two game developers seem to be busy, and there's this one woman just standing around representing the company, and we walk up, she says hi, we have a few questions about the game itself, and she is supposed to know everything, or a large portion of what's happening, and with the questions that we were asking, it seemed like it was a little bit too overwhelming for her, and she kept on pushing our question and somehow always changing it back into something that's very general.
Essentially, all she did was rehash the trailer in response to any question that we asked. Even if that wasn't necessarily what we asked, she didn't seem like she knew anything about the game aside from what the trailer that was on the TV right next to her face was saying.
It honestly seemed like she was just hired the day before and had nothing and had no knowledge of what exactly was going on. I mean, to each their own. She did try her best, and she was very, very, very polite. But actually, other than the part she did cut Rozola off a few times while speaking, he didn't seem to have fun there. But apart from that, it was fun talking and chatting with, but playing the game, I don't think Rez had so much fun.
No.
Go on.
So It
Talk
very
about the
much
isotopic
played.
view.
It very much played exactly like Ultima Online would, or like you would expect it to, if it's being designed by the same guy to be a similar experience. It also looked a lot like Ultima Online. Now, here's the thing. If you look at the trailer for the game, they lay out their features list. And I don't actually have like the full features list here in front of me right now. But it wasn't that much. It was saying like, yeah, it's a player run economy pretty much completely. For one, I asked about that. And what I learned was that it is completely player run. So any good armor, any good weapons, any good amount of food or whatever you need and everything, this is all made by players. All NPCs will sell or give or make or whatever are very base items, starter gear for everything. That's it. It's very, very reliant on having a community that is going to run everything in itself. And now, the problem is that there's no story, for one. There's what?
There's barely any quests.
It's easier to talk about what there is than what there isn't.
Yeah.
Because there's not much to the game. There are no quests. There's no quest markers. There are no quests. There are things you can do. There are no quests. There's no
tutorial. Story. That is first and foremost.
There really was not a tutorial.
No.
There really was not. And I don't think they have intentions on making any fleshed out tutorial.
No, because I remember her purposely saying the whole company itself enjoyed the fact that people had to like find their own way to go on and move on in the game. I mean, I wouldn't really push that aspect because it doesn't help people out, especially when they're trying to figure out controls and what to do.
Yeah. So finding your way is nice and all if what you're offering is simple and easy to learn. Now, Legends of Aria, the controls are very, very, very based off of a 90s like CRPG almost. So if you're like me, you would already know how to play that. But there's certain things that even I couldn't really figure out that well. One thing, for example, was, and that they barely had an answer for, was like the range with weapons and how to actually do things. Because, for example, when you're using a ranged weapon, there's a limit of which you can shoot. It does not tell you this limit. You have to pay attention to your animation to figure out if you can shoot it or not. If there's the slightest thing in between you and your target, you cannot shoot it. Even if it's like, it looks like it could be around a corner, but you see it fine, and you could draw a line from your character to it, and you would see that that corner is not interfering, you still can't shoot it because something with that collider is sort of overstepping where you imagine it to end, just by looking at the actual model of whatever building or whatever you're encountering is there. One problem a lot of other people had was working with menus. None of the menus have an X button. I knew to right click because I've played many games like this before, but he was saying that everybody had to ask him how to close a menu because it wasn't obvious to them to right click the menu, which it's not going to be for most people this day. And he didn't sound like he wanted to change that at all. He sounded more like he just wanted to change how people think. So that's not going to really work out very.
Yeah. One thing about the game to note is that they really tried pushing, saying that it's very loot-based. So there is a lot of PvP, a little bit of PvE, and there are two different zones. So you have safety zones, which are usually inside the city, where you can't get hurt by other teammates. Well, you can, but if they kill you, they cannot take their loot, and they have the city knight come after them and pretty much instant kills you. So it really, when you're inside the green zone, they really try and push to not be PvP because it's just going to end terribly for you. But once you do leave the green zone and end up being in the quote-unquote red zone, it's, yeah, everything goes. So once you die in there, they're able to loot your entire character. You could lose all your gear, all your swords, whatever you might have. But So I remember that.
Although they get very mad if you call it a PvP zone because they want to keep pushing how their entire world has no instances and then it's all one big thing. So they hated when you used the word zone. They really hated it. I'm like, well, sorry, I don't know what else to call a PvP area because they don't like area either. They don't like anything that makes the world sound split up, even though that's what it is when you set it up like that. All in all, I just didn't like that game, and those developers were very rude.
One thing to note is you'd say we had a mile walk to the convention center from the hotel. Yeah, so a little over a mile. After we get there, we see that there's a huge lineup, and the idea was we had these drawstring bags that we didn't bring much, so we decided to just throw it under our jackets and try and walk through the no bag line, just to make it quicker to enter the building. So as we do so, we do this like probably 500 meters out. I don't know what that is in yards, but we make it so it's not obvious. I throw it under my jacket, Rez throws his under his, and we walk up, we go through the scanner. You have to put your phones aside, any metal objects on the side, and walk through the metal detectors. Mine still went off. That was due to my buckle on my belt. I kind of tried to point that out to them right away. I was like, yo, look, it's probably just my belt. So he scanned it, it went off, and then he scanned somewhere else around my body, and that went off. I don't know why exactly, but then, so he's like, all right, come here with me. So I stepped out of line. He told me to turn around. So I got my arms out. I'm looking out towards the whole crowd, and he's just patting me down, and the first place he grabs is just my back. He just grabs straight from my back. He feels the bag, and Rez is watching the entire time. He's just grabbing my sack, and he's just
okay. All right.
And he's like, "What is this? What?" He's like, "What is this? Is this a bag?" And I'm just standing there, like, debating whether or not to lie and try and come up with something saying that it's not a bag, or actually just accept my fate and just say, yeah, it's a bag. I mean, I didn't mean to try and cut in line, but sorry. But I ended up admitting to it. I was just like, yeah, that's a bag. And he just told me to move on. But it was interesting, to say the least, to get my sack grabbed by someone else.
So one big thing that I feel is worth mentioning at PAX is that despite the already notoriously high food prices, they managed to raise the price of their pizza again.
Oh my god, it was disgusting. It was like $7 a slice.
$7 for a hot dog. $7 for a hot dog. $6 for a slice of pizza.
What is this?
$4 for what was it? What was it for $4?
A pretzel. A pretzel was $4.
How much was a churro?
Oh my god, it was probably like $4 as well.
I think it was like $4. Yeah. Everything. Oh my god.
If you wanted a bottle of water, $5. Like it was so stupid.
It was horrific watching people eat there. I felt so bad for their money.
Yeah. A steak cluster sandwich, quote for quote, is just a sandwich with just a bunch of shredded steak on it, and it was like $13-14. Just a sandwich, like no fries, no drink, just the sandwich itself.
Three chicken strips and fries was $9 last year. I think it was probably like 10 this year.
It was gross. Like it really did not want to make you eat there at all. Like, the smell was good from the cafeteria. You had a lot of choices when you went to the actual cafeteria itself. But, I mean, the prices just
you didn't want to go. If you weren't rich.
Yeah. So that's what we did not end up eating there. We just went out. We went to Shake Shack. We got pizza somewhere else.
Shake Shack.
Yeah. So much good food in Boston. I will give that an A+. Shout out to Regina's Pizza.
It's Regina.
Come on, us Canadians know how to spell Regina. Right, boys?
Listen here, you dirty little snow Mexican. I'm going to take this fucking stress cube and I'm going to shove it down your fucking throat.
Hey, I'm talking here.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
But actually, with that being said, the food in Boston was actually fucking good outside of the convention center. It was delicious. We didn't mind the walk to Shake Shack every morning since it was on the way. We got some bagels in the morning. We were having a fun time. It was really good. The bagels, apparently they weren't up to Rez's standards. They weren't New York bagels, especially when it said New York style. He seemed quite curious to what that meant.
I didn't realize New York style was a thing for bagels. I thought bagels were just bagels. I didn't realize there was a style to bagels.
But then we one night for dinner, we ended up just checking out this pizza place where they said they would make our pizza in 90 seconds, or quote unquote cook it. So that's what we had. It was like on this thin crust, but it was still very delicious. They threw in some toppings, baked it for 90 seconds, ended up being very crisp and crunchy, surprisingly, and yeah, I loved that. I don't know. Which one did you have again?
That place was not crisp.
Oh, yeah, it was crunchy. What are you talking about?
Maybe yours was. Margarita is not crunchy. Regina's was crunchy.
Regina's was amazing.
Crush was not crunchy.
I'm taking that out. Regina's was crunchy.
I hate you. Why would you take out the time you say it correctly? You stupid.
Oh, no. I just had to say that so I can swap
stupid.
them. Yeah, so with Legends of Aria, we did get a free game pass for 7 days. It's a 7-day free trial.
If you would like to win this free trial code, there is a tweet on the Konglomerat Twitter showing this video. Like it, retweet it, and reply #Legends of Aria. You can include anything else. Just make sure that's there. And we will pick someone at random to get this code. There you go. Just do note that once your 7 days are up, you will have to buy a Founders Pack if you'd like to keep playing at this time. Do note, if you do that, there will be one major wipe before the game comes out, or when it comes out, that will erase all progress, as would be expected for any game like this. And other than that, yeah.
Oh, and not to mention that, but I did win a contest. Other than Rez winning that crazy bundle with stars, I did manage to win something that day. So we had a contest where it was kind of like a bop it scenario. There was 4 sides to the square, and within the square there's these lights that would pop up, kind of like whack-a-mole. But instead of whack-a-mole, the light just has to turn on, which is your designated color, and you have to smack it. First one to 100 smacks gets a prize.
Thank you. All right. Let's see how this goes.
Where's the...
It's on the side, but it...
Oh, it's...
Yeah, it's okay. Just aim it in the general direction, you got it.
How is this not working? Oh, like... Oh,
You hold it like that.
I'm terrible. Okay.
It's okay.
All right. Is everyone ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh,
I'm
wait,
sorry.
hold on, yeah.
Everyone has a color. You're yellow, you're blue, you're green, you're red. You hit your home color. You get someone else's color, you give them a point. Your color, you get points. First person to 100 points wins.
Okay.
We can go anywhere?
It's
Yeah.
these two, essentially. Yeah. Your color will show up there.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks. Guys, I never won anything in my life. But today,
He never won anything.
not even PUBG, but today is my first day. First day being first. Feels good.
Guess what? You got 2 black ones. This is mine.
I'll trade you my 2 black ones for the red one.
That's stupid.
Give me my fucking red one.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Oh.
What's the other thing?
I felt bad, dude.
What's the other thing they gave you?
It's a lanyard. I felt bad though.
AMD lanyard.
I slapped her hand so many times.
Do you actually want that? Because I really like it.
No, I really want it.
Oh, I have.
I can give you a bunch of these. I think I have
sure
like 10.
you can.
All right, boys. Till the next time.
Thank you, 1C, for these stress balls.
Thank
Oh,
you, 1C.
God. Sponsored.
Not
Just
really.
kidding.
Not really.
But thank you. I
thanks.
love these. I love these stress cubes, and 1C had some of the best games there.
Yeah, 1C did have a really good booth. Honestly, out of all the games that they had on display, which was a lot.
Yeah, 1C had a really, really good booth. Really. So, Re-Legion that we talked about, could throw this anywhere in the video. Re-Legion that we talked about was from the 1C booth. Fell's Seal and Ancestor's Legacy, which I will or have already mentioned in my top 5 video. Haha, you see that? You'll see. Are also from 1C. Heimrich, which Ralph talked about, also from 1C. Pretty much half the games
that we actually enjoyed and talked about.
We actually played and talked with the developers a lot about, and 2 out of 5 of which are making it to the top 5 or have made it are from 1C. So
they have
props
raised the
to
bar.
1C.
They
really
did their job.
You really owned PAX, I would say, or at least the parts of PAX you can enjoy without a media pass because of all the crazy lines.
It was VR, but it was VR jousting. Of all things that could be VR, they had jousting. So they had 2 saddles set up, one on each end. It wasn't the full horse, but it was a saddle that you did sit on. You put on the VR set that they gave you, and they just let you go to town. You got to select the weapons you wanted. So one of them had jousting sticks, you had swords, you had a flail, and many more. But the whole objective was, as you're jousting, you have two horses on each end. You guys collide with each other, trying to knock each other off the horse. And my God, was this something to watch! We have some footage, so here you go. Check it out. And this is some of the shenanigans that happened. Go check it out.
That was
Chivalrous greeting.
That was
Now for some unchivalrous action.
Chivalry 2.0.
Oh
my!
This
Jousting with a skeleton head, and he just stabbed it out.